Brad, you mentioned the Lakers. How blindsided were they by the fact that Kawhi goes to the crosstown rivals, and what's their next move? I know they re-signed some of the guys they already had on the roster, guys like
Yeah.
Caldwell Pope, but do they have another big move looming at this point?
No, they don't have a big move, but they did salvage some peripheral signings with, Avery Bradley, Danny Green, DeMarcus Cousins. I mean, the bottom line is they have two of probably still the five best players in the league. I think they're one of the two or three top title contenders, so it's hard to quibble with their offseason from that standpoint. Where I think the Lakers continue to go wrong is that they still think people are just going to come to them because they're the Lakers. And that just hasn't proven to be true. In fact, every turn, really, the past few years, where superstars have had a chance to play with LeBron James, which, let's face it, that was the blueprint when they signed LeBron James, that would open the floodgate.
Mm-hmm.
They'll get LeBron James, the Lakers will be back, and everybody will want to come play with him. Well, Kyrie Irving could have come and played with him if he wanted to. He didn't. Kawhi Leonard could have come and played with him if he wanted to. He didn't. Paul George said he wanted to go to the Lakers when he left Indiana. That was seen as a virtual certainty pre-LeBron. They signed LeBron. Next thing you know, he doesn't even give the Lakers free year, and then he goes to the Clippers instead. So at every turn where a player of high stature has had an opportunity to go and join LeBron James, he hasn't done it. Now, they did get Anthony Davis, but they had to trade their entire future to do it. So to me, this becomes about post-LeBron. They're going to be fine the next couple of years. With LeBron and Anthony Davis and some decent parts around them, they're going to be a championship contender. But what they still have to figure out is post-LeBron. They don't want to have happen to them what has happened to the Heat, what happened to Cleveland, where the second LeBron James leaves because of the way you have to organize your roster while he's there, you fall off a cliff when he goes. You trade all your young talent, you trade all your future draft picks for sort of win-now peripheral players, and then he goes and you got nothing. So they've still got to figure out what they're going to do and who they're going to pair with Anthony Davis moving forward. I think that was the big disappointment of the offseason. If you get a Kyrie, you get a Kawhi, you're set for post-LeBron as well.
Let me ask you this. What team right now is in the best position going forward, in short term and long term? So in the next couple of years, plus add in, what they have 5 years down the road. In your opinion, what team is in the best spot?
I still think the Clippers. The threat hangs over them that Kawhi can leave, that Paul George can leave. But I think what they've built there is tremendous. I don't see any reason why. I mean, Kawhi and Paul George, they wanted to get to L.A. So if this thing goes as planned, I don't see why they would bounce 2 years from now. So I do think they're in a fine position. Brooklyn is obviously in a really good position. I think the Warriors are in a lot better position than people think. I think the people kind of got up in arms with the D'Angelo Russell deal. They got something for nothing. They were going to lose Kevin Durant for nothing for starters. Now, it does hard cap them. They did sacrifice Andre Iguodala. Now Sean Livingston's out the door. But this is a team that's playing ahead of the curve, right? They're not waiting for these guys to be on their complete last legs and then be out of the game. They get back in the game immediately with D'Angelo Russell. They can still move him post-December 15th. Let's say they move him, just for argument's sake, to the Timberwolves for a package centered on Robert Covington. They're going to, by the time the playoffs roll around next year, they're going to be rolling out with Klay Thompson, with Steph Curry, with Draymond Green. They made a terrific signing for 3 years in Kevon Looney. They've made some really nice pickups on the periphery with Willie Cauley-Stein. They get him on a minimum deal. I mean, that's a really, really good value pickup. They get Alec Burks. They get Amari Spellman from Atlanta. They've got a good roster, and they're flexible again moving forward because of D'Angelo Russell. Like, I know he might be a little bit overpaid as a max deal, but now they're back in the game to go and star hunt again. They now have a young all-star max contract that they can throw out there as soon as the next disgruntled superstar shows up on the marketplace. So I think the Warriors are in a lot better position than people think, and I think kind of all the talk of their immediate fall-off has been pretty exaggerated.
Joined by Brad Bodkin, NBA writer for CBS Sports. You can follow him on Twitter, Brad Bodkin, CBS. You wrote about Golden State being a team that people have kind of forgotten about because of no Kevin Durant, no Klay Thompson in the immediate. They're a contender. We were going through it yesterday, just having a little fun with it, and we actually forgot about them because there's so many good teams in the Western Conference. They're going to be teams like OKC, San Antonio. I'm interested in Dallas that are all going to be battling for maybe the last playoff spot.
No question. I mean, there's two things here. One, we've got to get rid of conferences. I refuse to give up on this. We've got to make it the 16 best team, even if you can't balance out the regular season schedule. Look at the West versus the East. Let's just hypothetically say the Warriors miss the playoffs so that the Pistons can get in, so that the Magic can get in. Not to mention the path to the finals. It's not just the worst team or the worst of the teams getting in. It's not just that the Magic get in and say the Pelicans don't. It's the path to the finals. It's that let's say that the Sixers are the 1 seed. They get to play the Pistons. Let's say the Nuggets are the 1 seed next year in the West, and let's say the Warriors are the 8. Mm-hmm. That's how you're going to roll through the first round against the Golden State Warriors. While the East just basically gets a cakewalk to the conference finals. I think we've got to do something about that. But you're right. The way that it is, the West is absolutely loaded. It's a big mistake to forget about the Warriors. But I understand how it's easy to do. They lose Kevin Durant. The juice is kind of off of them. But listen, they're going into next year. They're going to start next year with 3 All-Stars, 2 of which are arguably the best offensive player and the best defensive player in the league. So don't feel sorry for the Warriors. They're going to be really good, but there is going to be a good team that's going to slip out. I think the obvious team, right, is OKC because they're going to tear this thing down. They already got rid of Jeremy Grant. Paul George is out the door. They're now on an entirely new timeline. I think Steven Adams eventually gets dealt. We know Russell Westbrook is on the block, and he's going to end up getting dealt. Danilo Gallinari is on an expiring deal and is a 20-point scorer and a 43% three-point shooter. Somebody's going to pick up on him without having to log up their books for next year. They're on the fast track to a rebuild, so they're the likeliest candidate to fall out. The Lakers move in, and then from there I think it's the same playoff teams as last year. It's just the seeding, right? You can very easily have the Warriors, who I still think are a championship threat once Klay comes back. You can have them as a 7 seed. Mm-hmm. So the West is nuts. There's no doubt about it.